Hello everybody, welcome to yet another edition of The Youth and the Road to 2018. My name is Love Jomtongweza. In this program we talk on issues involving youth and their participation in elections, and as we all know, we are heading towards the 2018 elections. So we would want to know what youth want and how they can participate freely in the upcoming elections. So in the program today, I've invited two representatives from the newly formed party, Alliance for People's Agenda, also known as APA, which is led by, whose president is Dr. Nkosana Moyo. So I will let the two people introduce themselves. Welcome to the program, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Darlington Nemachena. I'm actually the interim National Youth Representative for APA.
All right, great.
I'm Sharon Mumbula. I'm a member of APA. Thank you.
And then maybe we can say you're also representing the women part of it.
Yes, I am representing the women.
All right, fine. So let's get into it. Darlington, let's talk about APA. What is APA in the youth context?
In the youth context, APA is an alliance of ideas in the future that we want. Mm-hmm. Not the past, but the future that we want. So we came together, decide, and asked ourselves, what is the Zimbabwe that we want? And how can we attain it? So we need something that can actually bring all those ideas together and then find the best person to execute them for us, who has the vast experience to do that. So hence the coming up of APA. It's an alliance of divergent minds, people from different political parties. It's not a one-party directed thing. Mm-hmm. It's everybody else coming together to say we want to create this Zimbabwe. So how do we do it? We have an alliance to do it.
Okay. So just cut. All right, Darlington, let's talk about the issues relating to youth that you as an organization have received.
Okay.
Since your inception.
The first and major one, with regards to youth, is nobody in the political arena really cares about young people. They want us to be their political ladders. But if you look at all political parties that we have right now, they do not have room for young people to actually advance in anything at all. So that alone is a concern for young people, because we also want the seat at the high table. We also want to be part of decision making, but we are not being allowed. We are only being brought in so that we further somebody else's agenda, but not our agenda, which now becomes the alliance for the people's agenda. What is the agenda? The agenda is we want to be respected, we want to be known, we exist, and we actually want to participate. That is number one of the issues. The second one is marginalization of young people, especially in the employment sector. If you look at our system now, it says you finish school and then they will tell you need 5 years experience to get a job. But I just finished school. Where am I going to get the 5 years experience? I did accounting. So you're telling me a balance sheet in university is different from a balance sheet 5 years from now? It doesn't change. But already a floor has been set that we will not succeed in this environment. So we also have those issues that are affecting young people to say, how are we going to get employment if they need us to have 5 years experience and there is no one to employ us until we have the 5 years experience? So at the end of the day, what Zimbabwe becomes is an institution to train people for other nations. And we want to develop our own country. So that will be the second issue. I think the third issue is an even playing field. To say, if you want to start a business right now, you can't do it freely. You have to be related to someone that is already in the system. But guess what? We only have 210 MPs. So can 14 million actually be related to 210 people? They can't be. The playing field is not even for us to do anything. You have to support a certain party for you to actually make it into anything. But what if I don't want? I just want to be a business person and make a living for myself. So all those are the issues that really, really affect young people.
All right. I'm coming to you, Sharon. Okay. Before I engage on you, right? Okay. Sharon, what made you decide that now I want to join APA? What was, like the pulling factor? What attracted you to APA?
The pulling factor was the intellectual.
Okay.
Dr. Nkosana Moyo, the way he...
So it's a part of intellect?
Yes. The way he presented his policies, for me, I feel he's the right person. to follow. I've tried. I've looked at so many opposition parties and their leaders and their leadership. They have tried. They have not given me. They've not sold it to me. There is no youth involvement in most of your parties. They can just say we are the bridge for the next generation, but they don't actually get you to participate, to be involved in the actual thing. They can say they're going to represent you, but in the end, they are the ones who benefit and we are left out. So I felt with Dr. Kosana Moyo, he said, look, APA is not about me. It's about us as Zimbabweans. It's about us as the young women in Zimbabwe. It's about the youth. So it's time for us as young women to stand up. Because the thing is, we have a problem with young women, especially women. They don't want to be involved.
Yes.
Because they think it's always about violence.
All right.
But in actual fact, if you speak up and you be heard, at least we would be in a better position. Because most of them, they're just sitting at home. And I think I would encourage that they be involved. If they don't want to be involved, but at least let them be educated about the voting process. Let them go out and vote in their numbers, but knowing who to vote for.
You bring in the aspect of violence against women, to be precise, young women. As APA, what mechanism do you have to make sure that as we head towards 2018, those things are not there, I think, of the past?
Well, as APA, our position is we are non-violent.
Okay.
Why should we be violent? If you go and talk to someone nicely and approach them and just discuss about your policies, you're not going to gag someone, you're not going to force someone. If you talk to them, engage with them, and they don't want to buy into it, just leave them. Unlike the regime that we're used to, they force people into doing something. But with us, with APA, we're saying, if I come and approach you and I just tell you, have you heard about APA? What do you think about this? And I present to you, I lay out everything that I know about APA. And if you're not buying into it, there's no way we're going to force you into it. It's a matter of making a decision. It's a matter of making a choice. We're not going to be forcing people. We're not going to be buying bronco for the youth to do the violent work. And that should come to an end. Instead of us giving these young people alcohol to do all this funny stuff, we should be empowering them. We should tell them what's good about it, because we need them. We need each other. For a fact, that person who's going to get bronco, the youth is that people think that no. We need their votes. We need them. So it's up to us as APA. We need to convince them. So how do you convince someone? You talk to them properly.
How properly is properly?
Properly.
I could add on that.
All right.
Like as far as the women are concerned and protecting them, what APA is not an organization that says, let's have rallies and make a lot of noise. No. APA, we don't ask you to wear our regalias just to recognize that you're APA.
Okay.
So you can sit at home, articulate the Zimbabwe you want, look at the current crop of leadership that is there, and look at someone who has the CV that can actually fit in what you require pre-2018 to be. And then you just go out quietly, you register, next time you go, you vote, and it's done. Nobody beats anybody for registering to vote. Nobody beats anybody for voting. You only get beaten when you start making noise against the noisemakers. So you don't have to even talk to them. And our parents have to educate us about it, to say we can just go and vote and not bring violence to the doorstep. It's just simple. Quietly go and you vote and you're out, and it's done.
Okay, but the traditional mechanisms of elections in Zimbabwe revolve around, going to a rally, mobilize abantu. Imimi as APA, what mobilization mechanisms have you put in place to make sure that my youth vote?
Like, the first thing is, they are based on rallies and doing that. But since 1980, we've been doing rallies. Whoever beat ZANU-PF because they did a rally. Look at 2013. We had one of the biggest rallies ever, but never yielded any results. So it's not the rally that matters.
Okay.
It is the information that is put in someone's mind. What is APA?
Okay.
We have to educate people on what APA is. What is the relevance of APA to the young people? So that all these young people have to actually know their position, other than just making noise unnecessarily.
All right.
So it's now our duty to actually educate the young people. To say, this is APA, this is what we are here for, and this is what we are trying to achieve.
Okay.
Because most of these young people, they listen when you talk, but they're not willing to go out and make noise for it. So you have to educate them in a way that actually appeals to them, and find them where they hang out, and then educate them from that platform, not from our traditional platform of rallies where people will be beat. No, find them where they hang out and there's no violence.
All right. So how has been the response since you started engaging in my youth? I think you are now 2 months old or something like that.
Yes.
So how has been the response since you Dr. Nkosana announced kuti vari kuda kurana for this thing?
I think the response has been overwhelming. In just 2 months, I think we have made a lot of noise, if you know what I'm talking about, because of certain policies and certain ideas that Dr. Nkosana has put into APA. Like the first thing that actually brought people out to say, I'm curious about this, is when he said, I'm just going to reduce the cabinet to 20 ministers and then not have vice ministers, but junior ministers. So as young people, whether we like it or not, we are forced to be in the next government. So that's one of the issues, and that has made young people actually to come in. And as for our sisters, Dr. Nkosana Moe said in the cabinet is going to be 50-50. So instead of our sisters always running out and complaining about issues that actually affect them, they are going to be part of that government that actually make the decisions on how to protect each other. Because one thing is, men will never understand how to protect women, because they're one of the biggest problems against women. So women can only protect women. So 50% of you in the cabinet will be your responsibility to make sure that you move women agendas. So you protect the next generation. So that alone has brought in momentum into APA from the young people and from
Let
the
me
women.
come to you, Sharon.
Yes.
I've asked this question to a number of my guests, especially with the women. We have got that quota system that says we've got 60 women who are chosen to be in parliament, right? Are those necessary from your own point of view, from APA's point of view?
Yes, it is necessary,
Why?
as long as we have people who are going to be transparent and they're going to execute their duties properly. I think the representation for me is fine.
It's fine.
Yes, but we would rather encourage more women, especially young women.
Through the quota system or...
Yes,
Okay.
we would rather encourage young women to stand up.
All right. But are young women willing to stand up and say, now ndakudawo kumpeto president, ndakudawo kumpeto council, and MP?
I would say the reason why they're not coming out is because they're not really educated about it. They think that it's for the elder women, like Anamayid,
Okay.
are the ones who are supposed to be in position, of which it's not. It's the wrong perception. I think by now we should have young women in parliament, in power.
Okay.
Yes, we should have young women who are going to go for councillors, we're going to go for MPs, we should run for those offices. We should have those. And I'm actually encouraging, we need more of the Fadzai Maheris. We need more of those. We need more of the Rimbais. We need those, more of those women.
Within your party, has any young woman stood up and say, "Ndada kumboy, ndada to MP"?
Yes, we do have. We do have. I can't mention their names now, but we do have. We do have women, young women, who are going to stand for office.
All right. Well, to stay on that quota system, Mima ye 60 vacancy. Have they done enough to represent the needs of the women, young women?
Not really. They
What would you
haven't.
want to see addressed?
There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues. Like, we don't have representation in even our organizations. Most of the organizations in Zimbabwe, they are run by men.
Okay.
And most of the men, they're not youth. They're not youthful. They are all older, you know. So at least if we have some education of some sort, that we need representation in some influential organizations. What about the influential ministries as well?
Okay.
Yes, because we've seen women given some ministerial posts that are not that influential. Why not give the finance ministry to a woman? Why not give the justice to the woman?
Marginalization.
Yes.
And then I'll come back to you. Yes, you talked about the issue of nepotism, labor exports, marginalization. The politicians do not care much about my youth. So, as APA, you're coming into this arena. How are you going to make sure those issues, because they are critical? How are you going to make sure those issues are addressed?
Because APA is not just one movement; it's a combination of all the movements. What Dr. Nkosana Moyo has said is this: if we have someone from MDC who is an MP and is competent enough to execute a ministerial post, then we employ that person. It's not going to be one party always having the ministerial post and then the rest of the people thrown out. No, that doesn't work like that. And personally, I will tell you, he said to me, just because I work with you doesn't mean it guarantees you anything. You have got to be competent enough. Otherwise, you're going to hate me after 2018. And I respected that about him. And he will still tell you the same thing. Anybody that works with him will tell you that Doc is not someone who is for the party. He is for Zimbabwe. The agenda is Zimbabwe. The bigger picture is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe cannot be built by upper people, cannot be built by MDC people, cannot be built by Zimbabwe people or ZANU-PF people. It can only be built by Zimbabweans. So what only qualifies you in upper is your ID, not your political affiliation. So no matter how close you are to Nkosana, if you're not competent, you're not competent. You're not going to get in that seat. You can be friends outside of that seat, but not in the parliament.
All right. As young people, especially people of my generation, we grew up in this environment where we have a lot of corruption taking place.
Yes.
And it's one of those critical issues in this country. You've got corruption everywhere, from the top. My youth ministries, in this dirty environment. If and when elected into power, mucha address saying the corruption.
The issue with corruption is this. It's a huge thing, but it's very simple. What really is corruption? And then you look at the person that you want to lead. Remember, Nkosana Moyo was elected into the cabinet by the president years back, not on a ZANU-PF ticket, but on a technocratic ticket. 10 months later, he realized, no,
I can't do this.
I can't do this. By principle, I do not operate under these conditions. And he left. Because he is one person that is guided by principle. So we already know if he gets into power, if he gets to be the next president, he is not going to allow corrupt activities to take place. Because at the end of the day, the agenda is misplaced. Because when you allow corruption, you've destroyed the agenda that we're trying to achieve, which is the betterment of this country. And this is one of the major things that has actually destroyed like Zimbabweans. To think that anytime you want to do something, you have to pay someone or some act of corruption has to take place for you to succeed. It takes us back to that thing that youth are complaining about when they say an even playing field.
Okay.
Because you actually need to have the money to engage in corruption. So APA is coming in to say, stop it. Let's make this even.
And is it? All right, you mentioned as well, you talked about Nyama junior ministers. What's their role? Are they on merit or you just like a quota? These seats are reserved to my youth. And what's the importance of having junior ministers?
First is they are not based on just the quota system. They are based on capabilities.
How do you identify the capabilities?
Because you're going to have MPs, young MPs coming in. You're going to have young people being councillors, right? In Ministry of Finance, you're not going to have a lawyer in the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
They're not going to be able to execute that. So those people that have actually the educational qualification to do that part will be given that part. And they will actually have a say in the parliament. They're not just going to be sitting ducks. They're going to be participants just like the ministers.
Okay. And then there have been accusations thrown at your party that you are elitist. right? Yeah, this party of, like you were saying, and then we have got Marural youth, as she was saying. We've got Marural youth, and how have you engaged them, or have you engaged them?
The funny thing about people is they say we are an elitist, right? Where have you seen young people standing on a corner discussing about how to be poor? So what is being illicit? Is someone, Nkosana Moyo grew up in a rural area. To pay for school fees, he had to go somewhere. He was making what we call mafet cook to supplement for his education. He made it from where they are, the rural people, and he made it to the urban. And then he advanced himself to something else. So he's one person that has lived 3 lives: the rural life, the high density life, and the low density life.
Okay.
So he actually understands all those things. But the only thing is people now start looking at him from now. Who is 65 years, we never lived in a rural area. So how do you expect me to connect with something when I was born in it? I don't have to connect with rural people. I am part of them because that's where I came from. But my having advanced is an advantage in that I'll come back to you and tell you how to advance to the next level.
Because you have got a clear
Because I have a clear understanding of what it was when I was going to school, and we had to go to the field in the morning first before we go to school. You get to school, you also have to do school gardening. And then I worked myself hard, moved out, and became a great business person.
I am.
So he's like someone that rural people, like the young people in rural areas, have to emulate. To say if he could do it, maybe he has to teach us how he got it there. Instead of fighting his advancement, they should take advantage of it.
But, to you, Sharon, if you, from a young woman's point of view, have you engaged my young women in the rural areas, and what has been their response?
Okay. From my personal point of view, like he said, that the way we're going to be engaging is more of a one-on-one formula. We're going to be engaging like small groupings. Like from my point, I've started with my family, right? And in my family, we are 5. And in my family, my brother is going to tell his wife, he's going to tell his kids, and my sister is going to tell her friends, right? So that's how we're going down. And from a family tree, we're going back to Musha. I've sent on a family group, and I've told them about APA. I've educated them about APA. I've been to Kumusha, and I've told them about APA. So now they're spreading the word Kumusha Ikoko.
So the response is?
They are keen.
They're buying you whatever you're saying.
Yes, they're buying into it.
And then we are heading into, I would want to call a decisive moment for Zimbabwean politics and Zimbabwean economy, the 2018 elections. And we've got a lot of virgin voters, if I can call them that, those new voters, right? Is APA, how have you engaged with them? Have you tried to talk to them and make them understand the importance of voting in the 2018 elections?
We are still in the process.
Okay.
We're in the process. It's not an overnight thing because most of these people have just banned this whole election thing. So we are still in the process of trying to educate everybody what voting is and what it is not.
All right.
Because our perception is voting is being in a political party and in being engaged in violent acts. But that's not what voting is. Voting is making a decision about your future. To say, I want my future to be like this. So let me go and participate. That's what we're teaching them.
Do you think Zimbabwean youths are ready to vote on policies rather than on personalities?
Yes, definitely. But the problem is, people want us to vote on a policy that they never asked us about.
Okay. So you want to be asked about it and then...
Yes, because the only way someone can only be 100% a participant to anything is when they've made a contribution. But when you bring a policy that is already done and you expect me to relate to it, it doesn't work. Look at like our current crop of leaders. They are all above 50, 60. Do you really think they have a policy that can engage 20-year-olds?
But we also have Dr. Nkosana who is 65.
Yes. And Dr. Nkosana, why we actually chose him at 65, he is the founder of an organization called Minds in South Africa.
Okay, right.
That organization deals with young people. So his entire life has just been listening to young people's concerns. So we don't have to educate him much on what young people want. Because he understands for you to connect with young people, you have to listen to them. Young people want someone that just listens. Simple.
I think someone from ZANU-PF will tell you that President Mugabe has been, the champion of youth empowerment since 1980. They will tell you that education, they created jobs, a lot of jobs, a lot of people. Yes.
Well, I personally think that would be a lie. Because honestly, he didn't create jobs. He never created jobs. If we're talking about the 2.2 million, in which Mazilisa was saying we did not create informal jobs, created informal. I mean, really, that's an insult, really, to the youth. Because my mom didn't take me to school, didn't educate me to become a vendor. You get what I'm saying? She didn't take me to school to become who I am right now. She expects more. I shouldn't be going to my mom and asking, Mom, I need money for buying sanitary ware. This is the era that we are in right now. You get it? So if we are talking about jobs, they haven't created jobs. There is no economy that can be sustained with an informal sector. Really, we need the formal sector. Let those graduates go into the field. Let them have that experience, and let them bring in everything that they have, the expertise that they have, and this economy will be running up and running. President Mugabe has not involved the youth, really. He hasn't. His policies might be okay for Zimbabwe. Looking at the indigenization policy, it's fine, right? But execution is totally wrong.
Implementation.
Who has benefited from it? It's just the people that are in his cabinet and their children, not the least of
common
the people,
youth.
the common person. No, I have not benefited from ZANU-PF. I've tried to even get those KEBS loans, the youth, but I never, I couldn't get them. All you could hear in the street corners that one has took a loan for about 20,000, and some of them haven't even been able to repay them. And as an economy, where are we right now? Where has it put us? It has left us doomed.
So, have you come up with maybe an economic blueprint that speaks on youth empowerment?
It will be outlined soon. This is why we employed Dr. Nkosana Moyo.
Oh, he's your employee?
Yes, he's Zimbabwe's employee. He's not the leader of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
No, he's an employee of Zimbabweans. Because looking from what he has done in the economic sector, like he was the chairman for the World Bank, he has been the director at Standard Chartered, he has been a board member for National Bank of Rwanda. I think all those things, they come into play when we're talking about what we want to be achieved. So he is one person that can actually do that. And he is going to outline a blueprint that is going to be satisfactory to everybody because he has the practical experience. Unlike when someone has to come up and say, 90 days from now, if you give us 90 days after elections, we'll turn your economy into 100 billion. Then young people that have gone to school, they will tell you, even the Arabs can't do that with all the billions they have. It's impossible. So we need someone that actually knows what they're talking about, practically. Not someone that needs to be advised by someone else when they have no clue what they're being advised on.
All right. I think we have a little over a year before the 2018 elections, and traditionally, the youth vote has been key in deciding who wins and who doesn't. Of course, President Mugabe has been winning. So, how important are the youth in this election, these 2018 elections?
Not just 2018 elections, not just Zimbabwe, worldwide. Look at Britain. The youth spoke and things changed. But in regards to Zimbabwe, look at the emphasis now. Do you know from 1980, everything that has been done was done for war veterans.
Okay. Yeah.
For the first time in history, the president is doing an interface for young people just only. He has forgotten about that other part because he understands the dynamics have shifted. The young people now will control who gets to lead them 2018. But again, that importance, people have to understand one thing about the value of young people because they're the most valuable game changers. They've got to also understand the strategy being used by the current system. It is to make sure that the game changers never get involved in the game. So they incite fear in them and create the apathy constituency. So young people are vital in 2018 because they are the only people that are going to determine who leads. So whether they like it or not, they have got to participate because not participating is also a form of participation.
All right.
It's supporting the regime that you don't want if you don't vote.
But then again, adding on to what he's saying, it's a bit difficult for the youth that, let's say, the first-time voters. Now, the requirements, like Zek is saying, they want
the proof of residence.
Yeah, the proof of residence. Really, that's scary. You get what I'm saying?
Why?
Youth, we don't want Teenager. We just want something that's simple. It has to be simple and straightforward. That it's my democratic right. It's my national right. As a citizen, I'm supposed to vote for who I want. So I think the only requirement that I need is an ID. So the moment they put those requirements, they know the type of the youth that they're dealing with, which is why they've put such measurements in place, because they know the youth will just sit back and relax. Why should I even look for an affidavit? You get what I'm saying? So already that is going to be a problem. I think I put to it that they should remove all those. I think we just needs an ID. Just that.
So, okay, fine. In other words, are you saying maybe this proof of residence thing is opening channels for vote rigging and manipulation?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Then, Tarlington, you talked about voter apathy. How do we then encourage youth?
We have to stop. First of all, opposition has to stop one thing. You go, we give you a microphone. The only thing that you can address is how ZANU-PF is rigging. So what are you telling me? That has never voted. You're telling me that the game you want me to play is determined already. It's already lost. But I'm yet to see a system that cheats from 0 to 1 million. I've never seen it, and I'm yet to see it in any political arena where you say, no, they cheated with 1 million people. So instead of us educating our young people on the effects of them voting or not voting, we're actually telling them they're not so different in voting or not voting, because all we talk about is rigging. Then you get 90% of young people telling you that the system will rig, but you've never voted, so how do you know that they will rig if you vote? So we have to educate our young people to say, no matter what system they try, if we go out in our numbers, we will beat the system. We will actually achieve something. That's the kind of information that needs to be drilled into young people right now. This is why you see in APA we don't focus on election rigging or in all those things, because that is not what determines the result. What determines the result is the number of people that vote.
So let me come to you, Sharon. What's your take on youth participation in elections, position-wise? We have had a lot of youthful candidates coming out, Fadzi, Vimbai. Maybe we're going to see Lumumba. Lumumba, of course, he started the whole thing. So what's your take on that whole thing?
I think it is time. It is time for the youth, yes. And they've realized that it's our time. So I believe they will come out in the numbers. Though there is need for voter education to more of them, so that they know what they're doing and what they're dealing with, the reason why they should vote. But I believe youth is coming out, because now if we have Fadzai Mahere, we have Wimbai, and we have more. I think Linda is running as well, and Patson is running as well. So as long as we have such ages that are running for office, I think youth is coming out, and the more they come out, I think it will open more eyes. You know, like the common person would just say, you know what, I think it's my time. I need to vote for my age mate. I need to vote for my schoolmate or something like that. So I think we are at a level. It's a dispensation of the youth, I believe.
Last year we had Ace Lumumba coming up saying, we need a youth party. We need Takabatana as my youth. Do you think we can have a youth coalition that can, defeat Mapati Zaripo?
Yes, we can. If we as youth are determined to do so, we can. But the other problem is with youth is we are easily bought. And we have that syndrome of pulling each other down. If I'm to run right now, like, we've heard people discouraging Fadzi. Fadzi, why are you running? You're still young, you know, that kind of thing. Or someone can just come and mudsling Fadzai. But I'm a youth as well. And then I can do that to another woman. You get what I'm saying? So that's the mentality that we have as youth, as young women as well. So if we put all that aside and we become as one, we support each other from different angles, no matter she's running as independent or she's running under APA or she's running under MDC, as long as she's youthful and she knows what she's going to do. Yeah,
I'll throw the same question to you, Darlington.
Okay. Young people participation or having a political movement for young people that can actually offset this. We want that. Let's be realistic. It's something that can actually work. But it has certain limitations. Because first thing is first, as the young people, like Sharon said, we really don't appreciate the impact of someone else, of our own age, trying to do something. Instead, we fight them. Start saying, no, why is she doing that? She's too young. Why? We don't support each other. We have got to move from that position. We've got to be educated on what it means to support someone else. Because at the end of the day, all the things young people complain about, it's based on one thing, them. Because they are the ones that actually vote in the old people and being told you are the future. And let me be honest enough with young people, these guys just don't die to create the future for you. We will die before they die. So we have got to support each other as young people. Fadzai is doing this on her own. I'm from APA, you're from MDC. Just because she's a young person, let's go behind her and support her. She doesn't have to come from APA for me to support her. She just has to be a young person. That's enough. That's a qualification enough for me. So when we say as young people, let's have a movement. If you look at the movements that young people are doing right now, there's some big guy who's trying to swing things in their favor at the end of the tunnel that is funding it. Because we are not resourced enough to do these things. But one thing young people don't realize is the biggest resource that is needed in any change is the human resource, not the financial resource. So we end up fighting for the wrong reasons because we're looking for the financial resource. But who has ever gone to the voting booth and they say, give me $2 so that you get in?
No.
They just need you and your hand to put an X.
Yeah.
So that is the education that we have to actually drill into young people to say, we have got to support each other. We have got to come to a point where we say, no, you're way too old to rule us. Move. We want someone young enough. And then, and only then, can we have a youth movement that can actually benefit the young people, not just a few individuals.
All right. We have a population that is, statistically, people just throw numbers, but it's believed we have 90% unemployment rate, of which the majority are the youth. And these are the people that you want to get into those positions. Now, doesn't this now open channels for corruption? Suppose a young person who hasn't worked in his life, he gets there, he's elected as an MP. Now he has got all, the access to all the money. Doesn't this now open channels for corruption? Employing someone, having someone who hasn't worked.
The idea behind having access to all the money, who gives you the access to all the money? Because there is no ministry that has one signature. So if your system does not allow check-up measures, there will still be corruption. Even if we look at all the people that are in power right now, who was ever unemployed? They were all employed. Money is never enough, to be honest with you. A system has to be put in place that actually defends the people. You can't just give someone money and say, go to your constituents and do a project, and no one has to follow up on it. And when something comes out and say someone stole money and used it for their own personal use, that person is changed from the ministry of this to the next ministry. They are not fired. They are not asked on it. So it's not about whether we have been employed or not. It's about the check systems that are put in place to defend, because that is not our money. That is Zimbabwe money. So it has to work for every single Zimbabwean.
All right. Sharon, you wanted to say something?
All right. Let me ask you this question. Those that are in government right now, that are educated, that are employed, that have been employed before, and they've been given the ministerial posts, are they not corrupt?
Yeah, of course, most of them are corrupt.
And I think the corruption, the level of corruption is actually alarming. So for me, as APA, we are saying it's servant leadership. If a person is elected, into office, this person is working for the country. He or she won't be working for him or herself. She is employed. He is employed. As Zimbabwean citizens, we have the right to ask. We have the right to demand. Right now, we have a 15 billion that is missing, and it's not accounted for. But because Zimbabweans are afraid, if we raise up and if we speak up, I might disappear or I might be locked up. But it's my right because it's Zimbabwean money. So I think people need to be educated that they've got the right to ask. And don't be offended because there should be transparency. If you are employed, if I vote for you in office, I've got the right to ask you, I need to know. We need to know. So the common person in Zimbabwe needs to know that the moment they elect an MP or a councillor, they've got the right to ask. Because I ndindakupa basa. I want to pin ipapo.
That's true.
Yes.
All right. Let's one issue as well. Gara iripo, especially the rural constituents, the rural youth constituents, and it's been blamed solely on the poor performance of the economy. You are coming in as APA. How do you address such issues of vote buying amongst the youth?
Personally, my thinking is this. What is your definition of vote buying?
You give me something towards elections.
You see? How
you want to be an MP? You come to me, Lovejoy, this is the money. I want you to vote for me. Or this is the stand, I want you to vote for me.
How have we come to that situation? This is where we begin. We have come to a situation where someone can just come and give me money and I just vote them in and I don't see them for the next 4 years. Why? Because I sell my days for 1 day's meal. So as APA, we're not going to be doing vote buying. Trust me, if you want to vote APA because we gave you food, keep your vote. Because this is not my Zimbabwe. This is not Nkosana Moyo Zimbabwe. But look at all the times that people have been given something so that you vote in someone. You have sold yourself. You have sold every right that you have to that person. Because once that person doesn't come back to you, you have no right to then question what is going on, because for you to elect them, they gave you something. And that's a deal. A transaction is when you give me something and I give you something in return. That's not what politics is. It is preparation for the next 4 years. That is done through 1 day of voting. So people have to be educated on that thing to say, if someone brings in whatever they bring and say, take it. You need the food, take it and eat it. So that you have enough strength to go and vote them out. Because they take you for a fool. Because if someone says, I'm going to give you a bucket of maize that you're going to eat for 1 month, you're actually telling me that you think I don't think enough to want to start a business. You think I just want to eat. And this is that just lives to eat. I want to be developed. So your suggestion is I don't want development. I am not educated enough to know what development is. So this is the time when we ask people to raise a rebellion. To say, fine, give us the food. But what we want Zimbabwe to be is not based on food. But also not forgetting that the current political parties that are coming in have to have policies that actually guarantees people that if they do this, their days are protected, because that 1 day meal can actually affect someone's thinking. So our policies have to be based, especially like with the rural people, it has to be based on food production, protection of that area, where you say we can help you when we are in power. Because what has been made rural people to think is ZANU-PF give them things because they are ZANU-PF. No. Those things are from the government. No matter who is going to lead Zimbabwe in the next decade, they still have to give you those things. They are not personal items like Command Agriculture. That is not ZANU-PF money. That is a government project. But every time a government project is lined out, a banner is put on it, a political banner. So at the end of the day, that continues, and opposition doesn't defend on that. Instead, they just keep crying, vote buying. Tell people to take that food. They have a rally, go in your thousands, take the food, eat it, have enough strength to vote them out.
All right, interesting. You talked about my MPs and my policies. I know encourage tanga business. The economic environment that we are in. how then can we motivate my youth? Kuti, all right, despite what we are going through, you can still vote for APA, and we can transform your lives post 2018.
The first thing that we need to actually do with young people is ask them, what kind of Zimbabwe do you want? That's the first thing. Then let them table out the kind of Zimbabwe that they want, right? We have, I think we have Morgan Changirai, we have Joyce Mujuru, we have Noah Manyika, we have Nkosana Moyo, we have about 30 political parties, and some would want to say we also have Robert Mugabe in it. All these are leaders that want to be voted in 2018. Put their CVs there.
And away.
Because this economic transforming thing, you actually need to understand what it is you're talking about.
Okay.
Because for a minister to create a level ground, someone has to create the opportunities that are needed. So you put all these people on the ground. Take their CVs. What have you done in your personal life with regards to actually increasing financial resources? Because what we are looking at after 2018, we are not looking for war credentials. Unfortunately, not to disrespect those who went to war, but that then we needed that. Now we need someone who can fight the economic war. So you actually need to have those war credentials in economy, not in fighting. So among the people that we have, the crop of leaders that we have, who has a CV, you look at their CV, what have they done in regards to this? You tick. By the end of the day, trust me, you will be left with one person. Because I was left with Doc. So you will be left with your own person.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. So this is our right now to choose a leader. We don't want leaders to tell us why we should vote them. No. We want to tell them why we are voting this person, not that person. Not because I hate you, not because I hate your policies, but I want to protect my future. I want to protect my present moment. So I vote this person, irregardless of me being an MDC supporter. Yes, I support MDC. We are going to put you in there and there. And there. But as far as changing Zimbabwean economic situation to the next level, can you please allow me to vote the one person that I know is qualified enough to do this? And then maybe you guys can help each other in the next government. But for now, let's not be partisan people. Let's actually be Zimbabweans. Because at the end of the day, all Zimbabweans will suffer because a few people made the wrong choice.
All right. Sharon, from a young woman's point of view, are you happy with the current youth policies that we have? If yes, why? If not, why?
Okay. The youth policies that we have right now, I only know the indigenization policy.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It is a good policy, or should I say it was, from the point they launched it. But I think the execution, for me, it was just wrong. Because they did not indigenize, they benefited themselves. And it did not even empower our economy. Because if it had, I think we would be in a better position right now. It only benefited SK and his team. But the common person, it didn't. And is it Zim Asset? Zim Asset, the people who benefited from Zim Asset, we're talking of their party supporters only. And I think we should shift from that. Kuti, I should be a ZANU-PF supporter in order for me to benefit. As long as I'm a citizen, it should apply to everyone. Let it be to the common person. I think it would be even better if we have the common person rather than someone who's partisan to participate in their policies so that they can execute it better than the people who are biased. Because right now, if you look at Zim Asset, it's all ZANU-PF. It's all ZANU-PF. And they're all talking about Cremora, you know. But in actual fact, they don't have anything to show for it. Yes.
All right. We have had the likes of Simba Makon. They've come in, he's an economist himself, former finance minister, and then we've had Mangasana Tindaibiti. He now has his own party. And he has BT has not participated in any election, but Simba Makon has lost.
Right, and then we have you guys who are coming in as APA. What's new? What new things are you bringing for the table? Why should I, as a youth, vote for APA?
What APA is the next generation. You have to vote for APA because of the future that you want. Because most people lose elections not because they are not competent people. One, you do not educate the people you want to vote for you on why they should vote. Two, you do not ask them what they want out of an election. So that everything about your organization or your movement is based on what the people actually want. Because, believe you me, all young people actually know what they want. We all know what kind of future we want. But nobody has ever bothered to sit us down and ask us. They assume we want the future and they start telling you, no, we remember when there was Aroma years ago, they made the best bread.
Yeah.
But you're telling that to someone who was born in 2008.
Who doesn't even know what the bread looks like.
They don't even know there was such a bread. I remember growing up, I came from Highfield, you'll be going into town, you pass through Lobels. That place smelled so good. But I can't sell that to my young brother because he never saw what Lobels was. So we don't have to make our policies based on the past that we enjoyed and expect the next generation to vote as based on that. We have got to be voted in based on what we are preparing for them. Because as young people, we have been robbed of our next generation. We have been robbed of everything. Because the same government that took over in 1980 is now handing over a broken system to us. And the thing that they want to propel in us is we have to respect this system. You have to understand people went to war. But now we ask you, why did you? You want me to vote you in because you went to war? To do what? Because whatever reasons you went for, you just changed the coin. You took Smith and put a black person in it. You just painted Smith black. So what benefit is it to me for you to tell me that I should vote you in because you are trying to protect a sovereignty? And you're not teaching me what sovereignty is. Teach me what you're talking about, and I'll tell you what I want my future to be. And then somehow, somewhere,
We can meet halfway.
we meet somewhere, and then we advance together. So this is what APA is. APA is when we bring in young people to say, we have to be part of policy making. We have got to make a decision of what we want after 2018. We know the government that we want, but we have to make the decision to say this has to happen, and this, like the issue that you were talking about the youth policy. Having a beautiful uniform does not make one team a great team. That's what policies are, like especially for youth now. They are good policies.
Yeah, very appealing, yes.
But what are they designed for? They're just designed to take money from the system legally and put it through to its own people. And as young people, we see it and we keep quiet. We're not coming in with ideas to say that has to stop, but how can we stop it?
Why do you keep quiet?
Because the moment, this is why young people keep quiet. State security. Every time something happens, you think, no, the state security guys are going to follow me. And it has become also a problem where the opposition leaders do not tell people actually what is the job of the state security. And they don't even actually teach state security agents what their job is. Now they've been given a different job description. Their job is not to follow around people or threaten people. Their job is to advise the government on issues on the ground.
Protecting the government.
Yes. So this is why you see Doc say, I don't want to revenge on what they're supposed to be doing. So I need to teach them to say, your job is to come to me and say, Kosana, you're the president. Issues on the ground are this. That's what state security is. But now, we don't want to participate. We don't want to say anything because they are a machine against its people. When they're supposed to be a machine for the people.
No, great. And then from a young woman's point of view, I'll come to you, Sharon. Why should a 35 and below young lady vote for APA?
Because we are considering young women in positions as well. Because we're not going to have only men. Like, let me correct something. Like on the launch, people were complaining. You're only men.
I was there.
Yes, but Dr. Nkosana Moyo is saying we need everyone. We need women. We need young women. Because let me correct something. Because the young women think it's only the elder women who are supposed to be in position. When we're talking of young women, we're talking from 18 years. As young as 18 years. Yes, they should be participating. They should come up. So as APA, we are going to be involving all those ages. We need them. I'm 31. and I'm already involved, and I'm going to be engaging with all the younger ones as well and the older women. So we are going to be involving every woman.
Every woman.
Yes.
Well, is doing that. I always ask female guests this question. There have been rumors that Grace Mugabe, the first lady, might be, the representative for ZANU-PF. Would you support Grace Mugabe's presidency?
Personally, no. Personally, no, because she's the same. I
Okay,
mean,
male counterpart.
she's the same with the male counterpart.
But
Because
she's a woman. You're saying let's
yes,
advocate for women.
she's a woman, but it's the same
A
system.
different kind of woman.
Yes, it's just the same. It's just what you're saying is, what you're saying is just supporting the same system. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think they've got different policies. If she was going to be a better candidate, a better option, I think by now she would have shown some signs. She's a mother. She would have shown some signs and would have seen, would have noticed, no, she is married to the current president. But I think she has got a different approach to this. But it's just the same. It's one and the same, 6 and 9.
So she's guilty
for
by
me,
accusation.
exactly. For me, she's just the same.
Kaleka?
On women, I'll add this. 2018 and what APA is the time that they have to make a choice. Because look at it, women complain about sexual violence,
Yeah.
but that is perpetrated by men on women. So don't expect men to solve that problem for you. You need women to actually solve those problems because they are the victims. That's number one. Number two, unequal treatment in employment areas. So men are unequally treating you. So you need women to actually be in positions to defend you. And then we have also the issue, like I always say this, young girls right now will tell you, the guys today don't marry. But it's because they don't vote those women that we don't marry, because we can't afford to marry them. They want me to marry them, but I can't even afford to buy a pair of shoes for myself. So it's also their power to say, because I want to create my future, I want to get married one day, I want someone to marry me so that we start a life together where I am an equal member in that relationship, where I go to work, he goes to work, and I respect him as my husband, and he loves me as his wife. But all those things will never happen because young women are sitting at home complaining about how young guys don't marry anymore, they just want to use them. But trust me, do you really think I want to be dating someone for 4 years? No. I actually want to marry you, but I can't afford it. And then you don't look at that picture to say, I have got to go and vote and so that I defend my boyfriend and actually make him get a job so that we get married. It's way too long we've been dating. But that's your right. So women actually have the more power than men, but they just don't realize it because they're not educated on those issues. If you look at the women that are in front for them, they're not actually teaching them all these things. All they just want is to make money out of the suffering of the other women. But it's when the young people realize that, no, for me to still be in my parents' house, it's my fault. For me to still not be married, it's my fault. As a guy, it's my fault I'm not voting to change the playing field so that I can afford to marry. As a girl, it's also your fault because you're not voting in a new system that can actually make you guys afford to get married and actually have a home. So women have more power in this election. And actually, we have more women than men. So they are the determinants of 2018. And they have got to be taught on those things and not be taught on the violence of elections. No, but on the benefits of the elections. That's what we are doing as APA. Trying to teach our sisters what it is to just put an X on a paper.
Correct.
It changes everything.
Correct. Graduated for tens of thousands of them. They graduate, then they go out. As APA, how are you going to tap? Suppose you're elected to power. How are you going to tap that lost talent that has gone abroad in search of greener pastures back into the country, into the
2009, 10, somewhere there, I lived in South Africa. The one thing that I know that is common, whether you have money or you don't have money, no one wants to live outside. You miss home so much. Everybody gets homesick. So all these people, they actually want to come back to Zimbabwe, but they just need us to create the opportunities. This is where we say, no, we want someone also with the international connections to actually resuscitate our economy. Because some of the leaders that we have is just, there are two types. Some have become a liability to the international world, and some are actually a danger to the international world. So we need someone who is not both, someone who is actually a friend of the international community, because those are the kind of people that are actually going to help us rebuild this nation. And then you also need someone with expertise in economic matters, in banking, in finance, because what we want changed is the financial situation. So we have our companies opening, because you can't expect an engineer to come into Zimbabwe and do engineering work. But if you open a company that actually promotes that, they're coming in, because we're not going to go and look for a South African, for a Nigerian or anyone else, when we have our own people that can actually come and work in those industries. And we have also now become a burden to our neighbors. So we need someone that changes that situation.
And that's upper.
And that is upper.
Great. Now, as we wrap up, this is another also common question that I ask as we wrap up. As a young lady, state what kind of an election would you want to see in 2018?
Free, peaceful election. Yes.
Darlington?
I wouldn't want to build castles in the air and promise young people something that I know might be difficult to deliver to them. To say it's going to be free, it's going to be
Fair.
safe or fair, no. But it's going to be based on how many young people fought. That's just 2018. It's not about the violence, it's not about anything. It's just going to be based on how many of us are going to actually go and vote. And then we have to also put the onus on our parents to say when they come back from work and I'm sitting in the house doing nothing, they sit with me for just 10 minutes and educate me on the power of voting. And trust me, this war terror that we are in, this war environment that we are in, can just be a thing of the past. So we actually need to do that.
Great. Now that leads me to thank you, Sharon and Darlington from APA, on your time on the program Youth and the Road to 2018. We keep on encouraging our viewers to go on our social media platforms. That's at 263chat on Twitter and at 263chat on Facebook, and use the handle ZimVotes 2018. That's been the program Youth and the Road to 2018. My name is Lovejoy.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter at 263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.